Alright, so today we have a 95 Yamaha Virago 800 and the clutch is not working properly. Basically what's happened is the system is over pressurizing and it's keeping the clutch from fully engaging, and therefore it just slips and won't move. So what we're going to do is we've already kind of diagnosed it a little bit here. We've gone through the slave cylinder and cleaned it out. Didn't really find any major issues there, nothing that's really going to keep it from working properly. And then we've checked out the line, we've cleaned out the line is good, that's taken care of. And the next thing is the master cylinder. And I have been through this once, but I didn't go through it in any great detail. I think what the problem is there'll be two little ports inside of here on the very bottom, and one is for pressure, one is for venting, and I believe that vent port is probably plugged, and therefore it's not relieving the pressure, and it just keeps adding the pressure every time we pump the clutch. So we're going to start by taking off the cover here. That is not the right Phillips. Important to use the correct ones so that you do not strip out screw holes. Try this one. There we go. You do want to be very careful with the brake fluid. It's very corrosive and it will eat away at your paint and whatnot. So it's usually a good idea to kind of protect, put a towel down, blanket, whatever you want to do. But I'm just going to be careful and I'm not going to do that. So that's how we're going to do that. Alright, next thing we're going to do is we're going to get all of the fluid out of there. I found the best way is I've just got one of these syringes here. Purchased it off of Amazon, specifically for brake jobs. It works very well. We'll suck all that fluid out of there. Okay. Got a little container to put it in. Alright, brake fluid is cheap, so I usually don't try and save it. It's always a good idea to replace it when you're doing anything inside of the brake compartments. So. Alright, next we want to pull off the brake line. Okay, when we pull off the brake line here, it's I usually like to crimp it here just to kind of keep any more air and whatnot from going into the system. Not super hard, but enough to kind of block off the system here. So looks like we got a 12 millimeter here is what this one is. All right. When you pull this off, you'll find two crush washers. Important that you keep those Keep them someplace safe and don't lose them. So when I took this apart the first time, I dropped one of them and it took me quite a while to find it. So I'd rather not go through that again. So we'll be a little bit more cautious this time. There we have it. Okay, now we can pull the master cylinder off of the bike here. All right, now we're going to want to clean this on the bike simply because it's attached with a wire here to for the brake lights. So trying to keep from losing this but it looks like I might just have to lose a little bit. All right. Get all this brake fluid out of here. If you spill it, it's important to clean it up pretty quick. Like I said, it is very corrosive. Will certainly not be good for your paint and eat away at it. So, all right. So let's see here. So it's kind of hard to see in there. See if we can get a little bit closer here. All right, so you can see two different holes right there. We've got the larger one there, which is the pressure port, and then the next is the relief port. And I believe that relief port is blocked and it's not relieving the pressure, therefore it continues to add pressure and overpressurizing the system, and therefore the clutch is not working properly. So, all right, so next step that we want to do here is, let's see here. What we're going to do is we're going to pull off the brake lever, and we're going to pull the insides out to the master cylinder. All right, now it works a lot better here. If you look inside here, you'll see a little snap ring. It's not just any snap ring tool set that you need to have. It's a special one. One that's a little bit longer than normal, just so that you can get down in there, get that out. There's a way to go around it. I've had success in the past just using a sharper pronged tool. I'll show you that here in just a second. Let's see if I can pull off this switch, and therefore I can just remove the whole unit and make it much easier to work with. All right. Okay, let me move you over here to my workbench. That'll make it a little easier to work with. It's kind of a mess, so yeah. All right, turn on some lights. Prong tool like this. Come in here. It can take some time. But we'll just kind of work at it and see if we can't get that snap ring out of there. Perfect. We got it. Now be careful when you're doing this, because the last thing you want to do is shoot this thing across the room and have to spend a considerable amount of time hunting for it. So what we have here, snap ring, washer. Come in here, we can push the rest of this out. We have our piston with a little rubber seal on the end of it. So should be, I believe, a seal. There it is right there. The spring. All right, now we've got everything out of there. Very, very small hole. Let's see if we can even. All right. So what I'm going to do, so I'm going to see if I can find a tool, some type of needle or something that I can stick down in there and kind of clear that little port. So I'll be back in just a moment. All right, as you can see, the bike is all put back together here. I got busy the other night and I didn't end up getting back to it and kind of forgot about the whole video making thing. It took a little bit longer than I anticipated and took a while to find a pin small enough to clear out that vent line there. So I'm just going to talk about it here and kind of tell you what I did so you can kind of see. So here we have the clutch reservoir, and I know I've got some pictures and video of that inside of there. You've seen the two different holes. All I did is remove just the piston from inside of there. Rather simple. There's a little circlip inside of here. After you remove the brake lever, use your snap ring pliers, pull that out, and then you have access to the brake line or the clutch line, clutch master cylinder. So I use just a small pin like this. Has to be a very small pin. I know this doesn't look super small, but it is very small. It's smaller than your average one to go inside of that vent. It is very, very, very small. So use that and you poke it in there. You should be able to see it through the holes once you poke it in there. When I mean the holes, this whole thing will be open, so you can look down there and see the pin sticking through there. That's when you know you've got it clear and whatnot. So I did that, cleared it out, and then all I did was obviously put it all back together, refill the clutch, and then bled it. I learned a good way to bleed these here during this process from another YouTuber. I can't remember who it was. Actually, I think it was Motorcycle MD, I think is who it was. Anyway, it's basically what you want to do here is get a pair of vice grips and clamp this line right down in here somewhere. And clamp it tight, but not so tight that fluid can't get through it. Basically what you're trying to do is you're clamping it tight enough that when you apply the clutch lever, you can push the fluid through it, but that fluid can't come back the other direction. It is stopped. So what you want to do, vice grips on here, tight enough that you can squeeze fluid through it, but it's not coming back through. Then you go down. Behind here is your slave cylinder. Open up the bleeder valve, put your hose on the end of it there, run it into a bottle. Then you're just going to come back up here and you're just going to pump your clutch, making sure to keep the fluid topped off, and until you see no more air bubbles down there. Once it's nice and clear, no air bubbles, everything looks good, tighten that bleeder valve back up again. Then you can take off your vice grips here and actuate the clutch and see how well you've done there. If it's not enough, do it again. So I had to do it twice. I thought I had it, and but I just had a little tiny bit of air in there, and so I had to rode it for a while. Got a little bit spongy on us there and whatnot, so I redid it, and it's perfect now. So that's sorry I didn't finish off the video like I should have and show you exactly what I was doing. But that's what I did. It worked out well. It fixed this bike. This took us a long time to figure that out and get it all done. Multiple times pulling this master cylinder apart to make attempts to clean out that vent line. So anyway, it's about the information you should need to accomplish this task. And once again, if your clutch, basically, if you keep applying your clutch here, and then you eventually get to the point of where it doesn't release, the clutch is just slipping. That's simply because you're putting pressure in to open the clutch, and it's not relieving it back to this vent line. So every time you pull it, you're putting a little bit more pressure in there, and eventually you get to the point after you've used the clutch enough to where you've completely put too much pressure on there, and now it's just holding the clutch open, and therefore the bike won't go. So like I said, that's simply because of that vent line. It's clogged. It's easy to unclog just by using a very, very small needle, poking it in there, cleaning that out, and then putting it all back together, bleeding it, and you're good to go. So, and thanks for watching.